Hi, Tina Peters here.
Hello, welcome to The Truth Matters with Tina Peters on The Untamed Truth. You'll notice that I'm not Tina Peters. I'm Dr. Z. My real name is Michael Zildjian, and it's an honor to be here with all of you today. It's an honor to sit in for Tina. Tina became a friend a little over a year ago. She came on my show, Patriots Behind the Mic, and had some discussions about this and about her case, about what was going on. And to be very honest, I didn't really stay as involved as I should have, as I would have liked to have. Things happen in life and we get distracted. But I've never stopped thinking about Tina. I've never stopped praying for Tina. I hope you all are doing the same and doing whatever you can to help. You see tinapeters.us on the screen, and that's a great place to find information. Also, her X account, I'm not even sure who's managing it, but somebody is managing Tina's X account, so that's another great place to get information about what's going on. And I just want to talk, I did some research today and tried to get caught up. I'm not your best source of information up to the minute of what's going on with Tina's case. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because, like you, I care about Tina a lot. I care about injustice a lot. And like the name of this show, the truth does matter. And we all know that Tina has the truth on her side. Unfortunately, in the country that we're currently living in the state that she's currently incarcerated in, oftentimes the truth doesn't matter. And as you look around and as you see what's going on in the world, you can see that that's changing. And that gives all of us hope to see what Doge has been doing, to see many of the J6ers being released, but not all of them, which is also frustrating. And what I'm trying to get at is that while things are getting a lot better very quickly, there's still a lot of pain and suffering out there. I like to remind people all the time when I do shows that I know on this channel and in this group of people that host on this channel, you don't get a lot of talk about Q and the movie and all that stuff. And I think that's for good reason. But I do follow along with that stuff for my own informational purposes. And I'm not going to go into that. That's not my point. My point is that I always tell people, even if you believe that that's true, that there are people behind the scenes that are fixing all of this, and I do personally believe that, there's still a lot of pain and suffering going on. And Tina is the perfect example of that. She doesn't deserve this. It's not fair. And yet it's still continuing. And as we start to see things brightening up, there's still a lot of darkness. And that's just frustrating. So that's really where I want to start, is by talking to all of you about your own frustration that you're feeling specifically with Tina's case, but also in general. We're all going through a really difficult time, and we're all in limbo still until the truth fully does come out and until the truth really does matter in public for everyone. And that's just not comfortable. But one thing that helps me get through that is to think of people like Tina, specifically Tina, but there are others. She's not the only one. This is her show, so we're going to talk mostly about her. And to just think that she's currently in jail for doing something, for standing up for what's right, for standing up for what's true, for standing in the face of bullies and saying, no, I'm not going to give in. What I did was right. What I did was my job. And yet she's in jail. And what I like to remind people all the time is, even if it's parts of this are a movie, even if parts of this are playing out publicly to wake people up, People die and suffer in false flags all the time. And this whole thing with Tina Peters is a false flag, right? What false flags are doesn't mean that the thing didn't happen. Tina is in jail. What it means is that it's under false pretenses and given a false story, right? So I like to constantly remind myself that, and I like to constantly remind others about that. That if we're not getting the full truth, which we're still not on many levels and many different areas, there's still pain and suffering going on, and that's not comfortable. And nobody's more in limbo than Tina. She's literally sitting in a jail cell where she does not belong. And as a person of faith, and knowing Tina, who is also a person of faith, we talked about this on my show, Patriots Behind the Mic. If you go on Rumble and you search for Patriots Behind the Mic and Tina Peters, you'll find the 2 or 3 shows we did just over a year ago. And we talked openly about this, and she talked openly about this. Of course, at the time, I was under the false assumption that it would never get this far and that God would save her and that she really wouldn't go to jail. But that's not the plan that God had for her. And she was well aware as it was taking place that God may actually use her as a martyr. And quite frankly, I can't imagine the weight of that. Knowing that you're doing the right thing for humanity, for your country, for your state, for your community, and above all that, knowing you're doing the right thing for God. And yet, God still asks you to do more. This is the second time I've hosted this show. The last time I got both Tina and I in trouble. I'll try not to do that today. And I promise I won't swear. But as I told Apollo backstage, thank you for producing, Apollo. You're awesome. Great guy, great friend, doing great work. I won't swear, but this stuff really upsets me. And it's really hard for me as a person who throws around some swears from time to time, because I do believe that righteous indignation is a part of love too, that I won't do that here. But what is probably going to happen, as you started to see just a few minutes ago, is there's probably going to be some tears, because I'm so upset about this, as I know many of you are, and I feel helpless. And at times I feel hopeless. But again, what I do in those moments is I remind myself, well, how must Tina feel? And so what I'd like to say to her, I hope that you get to see this, Tina. Again, it's an honor to be here for you. I love you so much. And you're probably, as I told you before on shows and told you to your face, I'll say it again, you're probably the strongest person I've ever met. I'm not sure that I would be capable of doing what God is asking you to do right now. And quite frankly, that's why he picked you. And I know you don't feel strong right now, but you are. And somehow, some way, we're all praying for you. We're all pulling for you, and you're going to get through this. And you're going to be a national hero, an international hero when you do. And what we're really praying for now is that the damage to you personally, emotionally, and all of that is limited as much as possible. Because I know that you're a true believer, and I know that you're a woman of great faith. And yet, I can't imagine what it's like to be you right now, having lost your son, having lost your husband, and now having to give up all of your freedom just simply by doing your job, by the letter of the law, by doing the right thing, and being punished by lawless criminals who don't care about the law. And again, we're seeing that crime syndicate start to be dismantled all over this country at the federal level. But, everybody watching this show knows this already. Tina was charged with a state crime, so Trump can't pardon her. There's things perhaps he can do behind the scenes to put some pressure on Colorado. But again, these people are lawless criminals, and they hate Trump because everything he stands for is that the truth matters. Everything he stands for is giving power back to the people, and that's the last thing that they want. Their whole crime syndicate is built on keeping power for themselves. And as you're seeing the Doge disclosure these days, you're seeing what they were doing with that power and with that money, with our power. Again, we gave it to them. We gave the keys to our state, to our local communities, to our state, and indeed to our country, to criminals. And then we wonder why they commit crimes, because they're criminals. That's what they do. And that's all that they're going to do. And the reason you see them freaking out and saying all this crazy stuff online and on TV is because they know that they're cornered now. And this all will end soon. I believe within a matter of months, we're going to be in a world that's completely different from this one. And it's going to be a godly world, not the satanic cabal structure that we've been living under. But until we get there, for these next few months, there's still going to be a lot of pain and suffering. And again, no better example of that than Tina herself. So what I want to do is share with you guys some of the bits of hope and some of the things that are going on that I've learned about in the last few weeks and months, but especially again today. I spent quite a bit of time going through X and seeing which accounts are posting about Tina and who's talking about it. Again, the best, I don't know what the right word is, soldiers that are defending Tina that I know are right here on this network. Joel Altman and David Clements, who have never wavered and have never backed down about all the injustices, but specifically about the one with Tina. And I just want to thank David and Joe for all that they've done for Tina and for all of us, because Tina's just the tip of the spear, right? This is an injustice. Look, if we're all God's children and we're all connected, this is an injustice that affects all of us. And that's why I'm upset. That's why you're upset, because Tina's our sister in Christ. And this should not be happening. But it is happening, which means God has a reason why it's playing out this way. So all that stuff I said earlier about Q and the movie and all that, who cares, right? This is God's war. This is God's plan. And we that are members of this community, the Untamed Truth, and members of this community, the Truth Matters, we know that ultimately this is God's plan and God's war. And what I've told people for years is that justice will be served. And it will be served in God's time and on God's terms, not in ours. And sadly, for all of us, not in Tina's. I bet you anything, she's ready to get out. And she's ready to move on to the next phase of her journey of what God wants to do for him. Pardon me. But we're not there yet. And that's really, again, sort of the theme that I'm going to continue to go back to throughout the hour that I have with you guys today, is that it's really frustrating for all of us. I know people in all different walks of life, in all different parts of this war, from completely asleep to all the way working in the back channels to help sort this stuff out. And the one common denominator right now, not the one, but one that keeps popping up often, is that we're all frustrated. We're all ready for this to be done, for this phase of God's war to be over, so that we can all get to the phase that we're all excited about, of building a godly world where children is safe, where the truth matters, and where justice actually prevails. And we're just not there yet. So it's brutal on a lot of levels. Emotionally, it's brutal for all of us. But remember Tina. Remember the J6ers that aren't out yet. Remember the families that have lost loved ones during this war. Again, as I said earlier, false flags. I personally know people who have died or been seriously injured in false flags. One in the Boston Marathon bombing, and another one in a mass shooting in California. And at the time of those events, I wasn't awake to all the stuff that I am now. And looking back, I can see how those were false flags, right? These are CIA, FBI ops, whatever, something like that, MK Ultra, where these people were manipulated into doing these horrible things. And I'm not excusing what they did. I don't quite believe that the people, again, that were being told are the ones that did the things, right? That's the very definition of a false flag. But I know personally that people die and suffer in false flags all the time. Real people and real families. And so that's what I want people to remember today. But I also want all of us to remember that this is God's plan. This is God's war. We, his children, let it get this far. I think we can all agree, certainly everybody watching this show, we should have done better. We should have never let it get this far, but we did. And here we are now. And what can we do to fix it? So one of the things that comes up the most about Tina is, well, what can we do to help? And so I texted David Clements right before we started recording this and asked him, how can people write to Tina? And he was able to tell me. So I'm going to share that with you now. I'll probably try and do it again at the end of this if there's time. But if you go to gettingout.com, and hopefully in post, Paula or somebody else can put site up there, and then you click on right here on messages and photos, you see that you can do written messages and voicemail messages. And let me just look up exactly what you want to say. She is in the Larimer County Jail. That is spelled Larimer County Jail in Colorado. And if you click on this stuff, you end up and create an account and all that. But I think we can all agree that an extra few minutes to take out of our day to show Tina how much we love her and how much we care about her is worthy time to spend. Now, you'll also see up in the corner here, there's a make a deposit button. And I apologize, I didn't get a lot of time before coming on to this recording to go through that process of messages and or deposits. But I believe there's a way you can actually send her money for the commissary or whatever. I don't know. So please don't quote me on that, but please look into it for yourself and see, and please take some time to send her a message. Again, I'll be doing that as soon as we're done here. I'm going to do that myself, and I hope you all will join me. Let's send Tina some love. So again, people are asking what they can do. That's probably one of the most important things. Another really important thing that we can all do is what many of us have been doing, never stop doing. Continue to pray for her. Continue to pray for God's mercy on her. She's been through a lot. And yeah, I know she's tough as they come. But I don't care how tough you are. This is a heavy weight to bear. And, so keep praying for her, keep thinking of her, keep spreading the word about her. And that's the next thing that I want to look at here is to show some of the, excuse me, I didn't mean to bring that up again, but I will switch it to this. There are some big accounts finally on X over the last couple months. I know before Tina went to jail, she was really trying to push on her X account to get some of these big accounts to bring awareness to her case. And it fell on deaf ears at that time. But now that's starting to change. So DC Drano, Mr. Rogan O'Hanley, a nice, fine Irish lad. He's been doing some great work. He's got a huge account I don't know how many followers he has, 2.1 million followers. So this is a really important voice. Please, if you're on X, make sure you're sharing his stuff and shouting the stuff out, retweeting it, saying to put, free Tina Peters, put Jenna Griswold in jail. We all know that that's what needs to happen. And I believe that we all know that that's what will happen. The question is when, right? And the sooner the better for Tina. And all of us, so that we all know that she's safe and she's out of there. So DC Drano says, Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold hasn't posted on X since November. Why? Because she leaked all the passwords to Colorado voting machines, locked up Tina Peters in prison for doing far less, and knows justice is now coming for her. That's why. And that's true. Justice is coming for Jenna Griswold. Nothing can stop what is coming is not just a cute catchphrase. I know in my heart that God will not let any of these people get away with this. By the way, you can see this right here is jennaofcolorado.com. Oh, that's a screenshot, sorry. But if you go to jennaofcolorado.com, I'm sure you can write her and tell her, please be nice. Again, we're speaking on behalf of Tina, and let's remind ourselves that although she's been through quite literal hell, she's always carried herself with grace. So when we're speaking out on her behalf, let's do the same. If you see my Zilosophy for All X account, you'll see that I don't always conduct myself with grace, because I do believe that righteous indignation is part of waking people up and getting in people's faces, very much like Joe Altman in that way, probably even a little more feisty than him if that's possible. Maybe not more feisty, but more willing to say words that most people wouldn't say in order to shock people awake. So I do that on my own time, but I never do that when I'm speaking out on behalf of Tina. And I hope that you won't either. So if you go to jennaofcolorado.com and you give her a piece of your mind, please be respectful. Just say it like it is. And you can respectfully tell her that she belongs in jail and Tina does not. You can say that respectfully. It's just the truth. It's just a fact. And guess what? Jenna knows it. She definitely does. So let's continue to remind her of that. I wish I had done a little more research to finding out which politicians you can rank to in Colorado to put more pressure. Although, as I said earlier, I'm not sure that that's going to do anything anyway, because let's be honest, the people who are keeping her in jail are all criminals, and they're not going to listen to us anyway. But that doesn't mean that we can't rally and do things on Tina's behalf. Speaking of which, I'd like to share a video. Apollo, if you could play the one not of Tina, but the 2 minute and 46 second video of what these people did in Colorado to petition for a redress of grievances. By the way, before you run that video, I want to remind people, when people talk about the First Amendment, we always talk about freedom of speech. Obviously, it's a very hot topic. The show is called Truth Matters. It's really important. But what a lot of people forget about the First Amendment is it gives us the right to redress grievances with our government. And this is what this group of patriots did in Colorado on Tina's behalf. So let's roll that video if you got it, Apollo.
Hey everybody, Keisha here. So today I want to talk to you a little bit real quick about Tina Peters' case. So on April 9th, 2024, myself, Maureen Steele, and Ann Vandersteel all went into the state of Colorado to file a petition for redress of grievances. Tina Peters actually also signed this petition. In fact, she actually had exculpatory evidence related to the election fraud that was outlined in the petition that was not allowed to go into the court. The petition was not brought to the floor, and as a result, Tina Peters was unlawfully imprisoned. My father, Dale Richardson, was actually tortured in the state of Colorado to suppress his evidence of treason against the United States, which was based on improper engineering controls which allowed for the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which was likewise created at Wuhan by Peter Daszak end the EcoHealth alliance with the pathogen, which were handed over to the Chinese by the Winnipeg biolabs. This created the circumstances for widespread election fraud. My father Dale and I are friends of Tina Peters, who has been politically persecuted for standing up for the liberty of all Americans. And she, as a sister in Christ, has been persecuted like I have for standing up for the liberty of all people. In the state of Colorado, women and Christians are being persecuted on monumental levels, and I'm calling for everyone to stand up for Tina Peters in every way possible, including using the CARES Project Action Plan to compel the state government to put the petition for redress of grievance to the floor so that Tina Peters can petition before the state house that belongs to the people. And if Colorado continues to deny a Republican form of government, we will implore that Congress and President Donald J. Trump initiate Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, which guarantees a Republican form of government, to the states, and use that just power to intervene and provide what the Constitution has ordained. The time is upon us to come together and stand united as people, and let the world know that we stand together to preserve this perfect union for all Americans and our posterity. That is why, y'all already know, I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Ciao, guys.
Great video there. Thanks for playing that, Apollo. One thing that's really important to remember, guys, is what Trump's whole mission was. If you go back and watch his inauguration speech from 2017, not the most recent one, he spoke at length about how he's going to give the power back to the people, take it away from the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., and give it to the people. We, the people, have not done our jobs. This country is founded on the premise of government for the people, of the people, by the people. And by definition, we have not been doing our job. That's how it got to where it's gotten. That's how we're responsible for Tina being in jail right now. We are, all of us, because we didn't do enough to stop it beforehand. And what these people did in going there and redressing their grievances is a really important function of government. We all have to be much more involved moving forward to make sure that this never happens again. That starts in your own heart with your connection to God. Then it grows out to your family and to your community, then to your state, then to the country, and then to the whole world. It has to start. What we have is a top-down government right now. It's a reverse upside-down pyramid. What we need is a bottom-up government where we, the people, and the will of the people directs those representatives to carry out our will. You know, on this channel and many others, including mine, we've talked for years about all of these people who committed treason in 2020 by rigging the election for Joe Biden. They didn't commit treason against Trump or the United States government. Maybe they did, but that's not the really important part. They committed treason against us, against the will of the people. And that's what's really important to remember. They subverted our will. The people wanted Trump in 2020. And again, if you go back and look at God's plan while we were going through it, it didn't feel very good. It felt very uncertain, like we might not be delivered to the other side. But God's plan in that case was perfect. Look at all the disclosure that's happened over the last 4 years. Again, notwithstanding the real harm it's done to real people. This is war, and people are going to suffer and die until it's over. But God's plan was perfect in that it showed the whole world. Even if you were someone like me who recently woke up in 2020 when COVID and then when they stole the election, or you'd been awake for decades, even if you knew about this stuff, you got to see it in real time. As we're getting to see now with the Doge exposure, we're getting to see in real time. And normies are waking up day by day going, wow, I can't believe it was that bad. And we're seeing it for ourselves. And again, as hard as it is to swallow for us, imagine how hard it is to swallow for Tina. But for some reason, God's asking her to see this through for herself too. And, all we can do from the outside is keep banging the drum, clanging the cymbals, keep spreading the word, going on X or whatever, or Truth, or Facebook, Instagram, although you won't get very far on those platforms because they're still very commie driven. Telling people what's going on, telling people what's happening with this case.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Do you want to get profits from the world's most productive oil basin? Bloomberg calls the Permian Basin the world's most important growth engine for oil production. Now there's a way for everyday investors to collect monthly checks from an incredible oil hotspot. It's not a stock, and it's not an ETF. Instead, you can actually own royalty rights on over 380,000 acres of prime oil and gas fields. The best part? 95% of all income from this investment gets paid directly to investors like you. You can simply sit back and collect the royalty checks month after month. You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. Visit oilboom2025.com to learn more about the opportunity from the Oxford Club's Chief Income Strategist, Mark Lichtenfield. That's oilboom2025.com to learn how to start collecting Permian Basin oil royalties today.
Every day, millions of people fall victim to online threats. Over 30 million spam calls are made per day in America, with over 50% of daily emails being considered spam. Introducing Safe and Secure. With the advanced programs, you'll be able to stay in control and keep hackers out. Don't let the cyber criminals win. Safe and Secure. Shield against hackers and embrace peace of mind.
And so I'm going to share a couple of other things with you that I found today. I got some more video to share with you too. This is John Strand. Let's see. John Strand at John Strand USA. This guy's got 115,000 followers, so nice big platform. I didn't know about him until today when I was doing research, but he's out there spreading the truth quite a bit. So if you're on X, again, follow him and retweet this stuff. Get out and be loud about it. Again, be respectful. You can be respectful and be loud. That's something that's quite challenging for me at times personally. But let me tell you something. If I could do it, you can do it. Because when I get mad and I get loud, it's sometimes not respectful. And sometimes it's not worthy of being respectful. But again, when we're speaking on behalf of Tina, I'll never forget the shows that we did together and how much grace she carried herself with. That still drives me to this day. And as I said at the beginning, I told Tina when the court case was going on, let me know what you need. I'll do anything. I'll be there. I'll come out to Colorado. And I was planning on coming out to Colorado. And then I got a text from her and she told me to stand down. That's when the hearing, I don't remember the exact, or the trial got postponed. And then I kind of fell out of touch with her and with Joe and with David and didn't follow up. I didn't go to the trial. There were many people that live streamed the trial. Ash in America, who lives in Colorado and has had her own instances with the lawlessness in Colorado, was one of them. Really appreciate her doing that. CanCon, Brian Lupo was another one who's been on this channel before. Really good guy. Really appreciate him doing that. In life, especially in war, we're all going to make mistakes, and we got to own them, right? This is what we see from the opposite of what we see from all the people who are being called out about their corruption and their money laundering now. None of them are willing to just own their mistakes. And what I hear from my friends all the time, I can't wait to hear all this stuff on mainstream media. And I remind, yeah, you're probably not. Do you think that CNN and MSNBC and whoever else is going to suddenly come on air and say, guys, you caught us. We've been a CIA Mossad op the whole time, and we've been committing treason against the people. Sorry about that. It's not going to happen. What they're going to do is continue to triple and quadruple down as they're doing now and expose themselves. I mean, that's the brilliance of God's plan. And I believe God's greatest soldier, Donald Trump, is to let these people expose themselves, right? So, but we can gas the fire a little bit in exposing them. That's one thing that Joe and David and many other, Joe Altman, but also Joe Hoft and many others on this channel and elsewhere have done, is keep the pressure on them, keep bringing attention to it. So, go check out John Strand. And I got another tweet from him here. And this is going to lead into a video that I want to play, the Tina video. So let's see. Let me get this up first. Excuse me. When was this? This was January 17th, so a month ago, pardon me. Tina Peters, a MAGA political prisoner, just requested help from Donald Trump. She seeks exposed constitutional violation by corrupt Colorado officials, prosecuting her for official acts covered by the Supremacy Clause. This outrage must end. And he's right. It must end. So I actually have that video. That video is from David Clement's X page. I'm going to switch that real quick, but I can't play you the video here. We had some audio issues doing that. So Apollo's going to run the video in a minute, starting at 4:35. So if you want to see this whole video, go to the Prof's Record on X. That's David Clement's official page. A travesty that he only has 32,000 followers with all the amazing work that he's done. Really good guy and someone I consider a good friend. I've met a lot of people doing this work out there. Many of them turned out to be phonies. The reason I'm here doing this show is because Tina's not one of them. Joel Altman's not one of them. David Clemens is not one of them. These are real people, which is why, they struggle to get exposure because they're keeping it real. So this is the point of the video where David asked her if she had a message for Donald Trump. Oops. I got to take off my screen sharing. And so, Apollo, if you could run that. This is Tina's response to that question when David asked her, do you have a message for Donald Trump?
Well, as you know, every Friday on my show, I was dedicated to the J6 community. And Nikki Whithoff, Ashley Babbitt's mom, is a dear friend, and the other ladies with her. Freedom Corner, I've been there, and it's a really special place. These people are standing out there. They were standing out there just this past week and every night for over 700 days in the snow, in the rain, in the freezing up, faithfully. And so, it's people like them that are standing up for people like us. That really means a lot. But I would say to President Trump, we're standing up for you. The election records that I preserved, I'm the only one in Colorado, and maybe across the United States, that preserved the 2020 election records. All the rest of them in this state were erased. If not for doing the images, the before and after image before the trusted build. I don't even like to call it that. We would not have those records. And so President Trump, there's more clerks, there's more election officials that want to stand up for transparent, free, fair elections. It needs to be fixed.
Just do what
we're wishing, we're risking it all to make sure that every single person in this, in not just the United States, but around the world, because we know that Venezuela was affected by this, Brazil, many nations. This is going on in Serbia. The judge would not allow us to put in the emails from Serbia linking me and what was going on with what we found. I would encourage President Trump that you have someone review the Mesa County reports 1, 2, and 3 if you haven't already, and we need to implement change before the 2024 before the midterms, because governors will be elected during that time and other legislators. But and get me out.
Well, and one last question. The American people, MAGA has been standing by you, but right now, I just want to let you know that we aren't forgetting about you. We do love you. And if you had a message to send to just the Americans out there, what would you tell them right now?
You're the wind under my wings. I had somebody ask me what I do in my cell, and really, it's just the thoughts of getting out. You can't acclimate to this life. You can never give up. You can never give in. You can never back down. I would say stand up, ask God what it is that He's called you to do in this lifetime, and be about doing it and stand for something. I appreciate you all so much. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for the Yellow Ribbon campaign, for the banners, for the letters, and for reaching out to President Trump. He is a great president, always has been, and we need to protect and make sure that our vote.
So there you have it from Tina herself, which is something I was going to talk about before. I mean, if God has asked Tina to do this on his behalf, I have a question for all of you. What are you doing? What has God asked you to do? That's very difficult and challenging, and maybe you don't want to. You think Tina wants to be there? I mean, we just heard from her. Obviously, she doesn't. Nor does she deserve to be. But there she sits, serving God under incredible circumstances that many of us might not be able to endure. The loss of a son, being a Gold Star mom, a loss of her husband because of what she did to stand up for us, for this country, for Trump, for all humanity. What is God asking you to do? Are you paying attention? Are you listening? Are you doing enough? And I don't know. None of this is anything I can answer. To each of you, to each of us, this is between you and God. Mine is between me and God. I do that every day. I don't always get it right. I sometimes get distracted by things that aren't serving God in the best way. We all do. We're imperfect. But, sitting there and listening to Tina and seeing how emotional she is should fire each and every one of us up to ask God to let us endure more pain so that we can get all of humanity, all of his children to the other side of this war, so that we can win this war once and for all and create a world that is actually godly. not Luciferian, not satanic, which is what we've been living under. And many of us, including myself, who used to be in the music business, used to think that was a joke, that Satan was running this world. I had friends that would, go to rock concerts and put up the horns and even say things that you should never say, all thinking it was a joke. It's not a joke. This is a war between good and evil. This is a war between God and Satan. And we are here. We are the instruments through which God will win this war. So the question for each of us is, are we doing enough? Can we do more for Tina? Can we do more for God? Can we do more for ourselves, our families, our communities, our state, our country, and all of humanity? Are we getting down on our knees enough and asking God to direct us on what to do next? And that's literally what brought me here. I've been thinking about Tina a lot lately and praying for an answer of what to do. And quite frankly, not doing enough on my own to get that answer by reaching out to David and Joe and other people who are more close to Tina's situation because of the distractions that I have in my life and my career. But I've really been thinking and praying for that a lot. And God answered that prayer when Mermaid Q called me the other day and asked me if I'd have Joe on my show, Patriots Behind the Mic. Very quick programming note. If you're watching this tonight, Joe will be live on my channel. I'm sure if you're following him, you'll see the links there. It's Patriots Behind the Mic with Joe Altman. He'll be talking about the Untamed Truth and Tina and all kinds of other updates in his world. But she also asked if I would guest host this show. And of course I said yes, because I promised Tina I would do whatever I could to help. And I felt really, really guilty that I haven't been that I haven't done enough. And God answered that prayer. And he brought me here tonight to each and every one of you to share my story, my thoughts, and my views of the situation in hopes that it would inspire you to do more. I'm sorry. Again, I warned Apollo beforehand. I warned all of you guys. I can't swear. So the only other way to release this emotion, this pain that I'm feeling, is through tears. And I'm not someone that's afraid to cry in public. It's not, I'm not going to sob and cry like a liberal baby. But this is really emotional stuff for all of us. And it should be. What we've allowed to happen is a travesty, and we're all responsible. And it's up to us to fix it on behalf of God. Again, as I said just a few minutes ago, we are the instruments through which God is going to win this war. And it's imperative that we stay tuned in to his messages, and that when he calls upon us, even and especially when it's things that we don't want to do or say, that we answer that call. And again, Tina is the shining light example of that. Literally sitting in a cell where she doesn't belong and doesn't deserve to be, because she's standing up for God and she's standing up for all of us, for what's right, because truth does matter. I know there's a lot of people out there in this world that don't feel that way, but the times they are a-changing, and God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven is coming imminently. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can to speak the truth and to stand up against injustice. And again, not everybody has a microphone. Not everybody has social media. I hope you don't. It's awful. I wish I didn't. But, it's a microphone that can be used for good. And I literally have stayed on Instagram and Facebook for 4 years, not because, and that's after I found out that the whole thing was a CIA operation. If you don't know about that, look up Operation LifeLog. It was a CIA operation that was scrapped. Guess when? The day before Facebook launched. So once I figured that out, I decided I was going to use their weapon against them. I'm going to stay on Facebook and Instagram and keep dropping truth bombs and use their weapon against them. And I don't like it there. I don't want to do it, but I keep doing it. I was hoping, quite frankly, years ago that I'd be kicked off. But I stay fairly within the lines, and I don't swear a whole lot there. And so I don't give them any reason to kick me off. I wanted to be a Facebook, Instagram martyr. God had other plans, and I keep dropping daily truth bombs on there to wake people up. And I've gotten a lot of rude messages, as like many of you, and like Joe and David and Apollo, Mermaid. I've lost tons of friends and family over this. And guess what? I don't care, because I know what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for God. I'm fighting for the safety of children. I'm fighting for freedom of people like Tina to be able to do the right thing, to do her job by the letter of the law. That's what we're fighting for. And we should never forget that. This is not, we can all get caught up in the minutia of scrapping and arguing and this and that, but let's not forget what we're really doing here and what the mission is. We are the ones who were chosen to wake up humanity on behalf of God. And that's a very solemn obligation that I take very seriously. I hope you will too. And with that, I had hoped to cover the writ of habeas corpus that was filed on behalf of Tina. What I will do quickly is share her page where you can find this for yourselves and go read this document. So if you go to Real Tina Peters on X, you'll scroll down a little bit and you'll see this. This was on February 8th. This is some excerpts of the document. And if you want the entire document, you just click on this link here, Dry Proton, and you get the full 26-page document where you can educate yourself about that. It's basically a very quick summary because I'm running out of time. The appeals process at the state level hasn't worked. So this is a way to say that this is an injustice that should be rectified. And it's petitioning for that. Again, petitioning for redress of grievances. So just a minute or two left here. And with the time that I have left, I'd ask you all to bow your heads and please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come here today to ask for your strength and your courage, not just for Tina Peters, but for ourselves. We ask you to be clear with your messages with us on what we can do to help you fight this war and win this war. We ask especially that you keep Tina and everyone out there who is suffering injustices, especially those children who are still not being protected, who are still being trafficked. All of your children out there are suffering. We ask you to stay close to them and remind them that there is a reason for this, that you have a purpose for them, and that you have not turned your back on them. We know that Tina knows that, but we also know that there must be some dark moments in there where it feels uncertain. And we ask that you give her the strength to know your love deeply. We ask that you give that to all of us, but especially to Tina and those out there who seem to be in a position that doesn't make sense. It seems unjust and unfair. We ask that you bless this new network, the Untamed Truth, that they may continue to speak truth on behalf of Tina and all the others out there who are suffering injustices. And we ask that you give all of humanity the strength to make it through these next few months as we are all in limbo and waiting for this phase of the war to end so that we can all get to work building your kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. We ask all this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, guys. That's it for me today. This is The Untamed Truth with Tina Peters. I am Dr. Z, guest hosting. It's been an incredible honor and pleasure to sit in here with you. I hope that I get to do it again. I didn't swear, so I think there's a chance these guys will have me back. Anything I can do for Tina, any of you out there, please message me. Again, at Zalosophy_for all on X is my handle. You can comment there or message me there. You can come onto my show with Joe Altman after this on Patriots Behind the Mic, and leave a comment there. If there's anything you need or anything I can do to help Tina or help any of you, please ask. God bless each and every one of you. Hang in there. The best is indeed yet to come.
Hi, Tina Peters here.